Good morning, Rotary Club of Centennial. Before we get going, I want you to know that there has not been a coup d'etat. Tim Eunice is still running the show. He had an install this morning, so asked me to fill in. Diana, could you inspire us, please?
I will try my best. Good morning, everyone. My morning meditation really resonated with me, so I thought that I would share it in the hopes that it will resonate with someone else in the room. It starts out, on this day of your life, Diana, I believe that the universe wants you to know that no effort is ever wasted, although some pay dividends later than you think. Do not imagine that you, quote unquote, wasted your time because something didn't turn out right. There is no such thing as waste in the universe. Everything yields benefits. It's true, and your life will show this. So don't decry the quote unquote effort that failed. All things lead to your highest good. You just may not know it yet. And so it is.
Very nice. So are you telling me that the wasted days and wasted nights of my youth had some benefit? Wonderful. Cheryl, could you lead us in the pledge, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Bellum, I believe you have a Rotary Minute.
I do. Microphone, please. Yeah, exactly. So my minute, and I'll cede most of my time, so that's great. Just a little bit as I was searching through on the, and if somebody did this already, my apologies, but I've always felt that this club needs a little bit of constant remediation. So a little information on the foundation, the Rotary Foundation. We often talk about Rotary and the creation of Rotary and that. And this is the creation of the Rotary Foundation. For those who didn't know, the president in 1916, 1917, so not very long after Rotary was created, decided that they needed to do something good in the world. And that was where the seed to the foundation was planted. That was Arch Clumpf. The Rotary Club of Kansas City, Missouri made the first contribution to the Rotary Foundation in 1917, $26.50. All of it gained through Happy Dimes. That's kind of funny. All right. No, that's what they did. In 1928, the Rotary actually became, or the foundation became official. They gave it the name Rotary Foundation and gave it a board of trustees. Couple of last things. 1930, $500 was contributed to the Society of Crippled Children, which later became, anybody know this?
Polio Plus.
Easter seals. Nice idea. No, that was good. That was good. And so that was kind of starting out. And then finally, as we work our way through here, 1965 matching grants program was initiated. And in 1978, the 3H program was created, Health, Hunger, and Humanity. And that pretty much started the formation of where the foundation is today. 1979, immunization began in polio, in Philippines for polio. 1985, Polio Plus was created, and I think that might still be around. If not, tell me about that. I don't know the most recent stuff, but that's still around, so that's pretty cool in terms of the team. Plus at that time was for other vaccines. Now Plus means building the infrastructure, fundraising, and advocacy methods. In 2013, 3H was retired, and a new program was set up, and then finally in 2015, they were down to 2 polio endemic countries, but I thought we were back up to 3. Is that?
We are.
Back up to 3. So that's old news. But the fact is, just our little Rotary Minute, the work that we do is pretty awesome, and I think that we're truly riding on the shoulders of those before us.
Mr. Bellum, thank you for that. I'd like to thank Messrs. Wexler, Jackson, and Hanna for being custodians. Tripp, was teaching Scott how to be greeter today. Scott, how did he do?
He did a good job.
Okay, all right. Do you feel like you've got that duty down?
I feel like I can greet again.
Okay, wonderful. Good to know. Diana, outstanding inspiration. Thank you so much for that. And Cheryl, great job with the pledge. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today? I didn't see any. No? Deb Jessup, would you like to introduce your guest?
Sure. This is Carol Schomburg.
Sorry. This is Carol Schomburg. I've known Carol forever. Met Carol through working with my husband over at Pitkins Tech. And Greg, her husband, was in charge until recently, he retired, of building homes. And what Mark and I set up for Pitkins Tech, and it was mainly Mark, was the fact that it trained some of the kids at Pitkins Tech, which if you don't know what that is, it's community college in Aurora. And through Carol, me, Mark, and a few others that were on the board, taught the students how to build homes. And they do one now once a year. Mark found the property for them. He then lists the homes and sells them. And boy, we started off, and that first ranch was, what, Carol, about, I can't remember the price now. It was in the low twos, and one just went under contract for $390. And the nice thing about these homes is that the kids put all the effort into it. They do everything except probably like the cement and things like that. But they build all the cabinets, everything, and it's a better built home, excuse me, than some of the Richmonds or something like that, they have to go through all the process of inspections and everything. So that's how I met Carol, and Carol is looking for some volunteer work to do, so I said, hey, come join us.
Carol, welcome very much. Thank you. So Tim Eunice had given me a note that he had already done all the birthdays and anniversaries. Did he forget anybody? Does anyone feel slighted? No? All right, we'll carry on. Randy Ernest, talk to us a little bit about Ronald McDonald House.
The Millennial Group arranged a trip to the Millennial House. Sarah Nielsen and Amy Reese spearheaded that. It was a nice mix of millennials and big Rotary, as they call us. John was there, Samantha, Barb Medina, myself. I know, at least it's not old.
Don't forget Tom and his propane.
Tom Gross saved the day by having an emergency propane tank with him at all times. We call him the Boy Scout now. It was a good time. Lots of families there. We were supposed to have served 50-ish people. I'm not sure if that was really the deal, but it was close to that. Well organized by Sarah, as always. She's great. And a good time by all.
Thanks, Randy. The 14th, Mr. Peterson, that's summer kickoff, correct?
Yes.
So this Friday?
This Friday night.
Summer kickoff. Do we need any more volunteers?
We have all the positions signed up for, but if anybody wanted to show up and be a relief hitter, you could do that too. 5 to 8, I believe.
And where will this grand event be for our newer members?
At the Centennial Park next to the Centennial building.
And how come nobody made me use a microphone? So it's, thank you, Randy. So it's at the park next to the Centennial office building on Arapahoe and whatever it is there by Peoria or whatever. Or Revere. That's it, Revere. So if you need something to do on Friday night, I mean, you're not signed up at this point. Everybody appreciates having somebody to come and relieve them so they can go and drink beer or do something else. So anyway, please come.
Thanks,
And
Mr.
if you can
Peterson.
get there a little bit early, we'll be there. I'll be there about 4:15 for the setup.
Okay. And do all your setup people know they're setting up? Or they?
I don't know. I'm in charge of this, but I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because
Welcome to Rotary.
I know.
Yeah, you fit right in.
Actually, because Sarah set it up for this year.
Okay.
I'm kind of in training for her. But I was made aware that there are no slots, John, for cashiers for the next one. So could you make sure that gets on the... Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
So you two have your people call his people, and then you can get all that.
And you stay out of it.
All righty. Slapped around like a redheaded stepchild yet again. Samurai, talk to us about SEMSWA and reminders about anything else coming up.
All right. So on June 19th, we have our club visioning at SEMSWA. The address, not only will I be sending it out to you early next week, but it's also on your bulletin. And I have a sign-up sheet. I know some of you did RSVP via email, which I'm pretty sure I have all of you down on my sheet. But please just make sure you're on there. I do have to order some food and just make sure that the room is set up accordingly. And I have to have tent name tags, which means I need to know that you're going to be there beforehand. So there's a lot of requirements by the district for this, so I would like to follow them exactly, right? Try to be a good president. Yes?
When I went on my email, you fill out the visioning, it came up a blank screen.
Did anyone else have problems filling out? Okay. 2, 3. For the visioning survey, because that's the only link they gave us, so I will check again.
I also went out on our website.
Right.
It's not on our website.
Right.
So I tried to vet it alternative.
Well, it's a survey monkey, so it can't. Yeah. So, and it's sent by the district, so that was the link they gave us, so that's what I sent out. But I will check with. So call Diana. Make sure you try it in another browser like Chrome versus Explorer, because Explorer doesn't like things. So
I think I tried it on Chrome, and I don't think it worked on Chrome.
well then, we just got to shut down. Okay. Okay. Well, I will look into that and see what's going on.
I mean, you are the web guru.
Yeah,
after all.
web guru, but some things are not my forte. So, and then on the 25th is our off-site club meeting at Cobell Library. I will be sending out an RSVP for that, but just a reminder that is where we will be meeting on the 25th. All right? Let me know if you have questions, and I will get back to you guys about that link to see if I can figure out what's going on.
Great. Thanks, Samurai. Flexter, Karen Fleck, talk to us a little bit about Food Drive.
So we have the food drive coming up on June 22nd, and I'm glad to report that we're all filled up. We have all the volunteers we need, so we're all set to go. Yeah, show up if you want to.
All right, thanks, Karen. Tripster, what's happening on the 29th?
Changing of the guard is the 29th. It's at our house. If you have seen the Evite and have not replied, which is about half the people in this room, look to your left and right. One of you guys hadn't RSVP'd. It's hard, but say no, I can't come. If you can't come, that's cool. I'll harass you, but please RSVP so I have a good idea. And if you can't do it on an Evite, you can send me a email or tell me right now I can't do it, so I can click you off either way. But no need to bring a thing but your own bad self. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Trip. And for all you new members, changing the guard is when the reins of power are handed over. But more importantly, it's when the awards are given out for Rotarians from this year by Tim Eunice. And it's really a neat event. We have a lot of fun. And Trip has promised perhaps the world's best bratwurst. So we're counting on you, Trip, to make this a winner.
No bratwurst this time.
No brats?
No, this is a whole different fair.
Can we talk about my RSVP then if we don't have brats?
Put the brats on the grill.
Ann West, let's hear about Meals on Wheels.
This past Friday, nope, that wasn't it. I was in Alaska. The Friday before, I enjoyed doing Meals on Wheels with Dave here. We had a great time, and we were done rather quickly. We're very efficient. So I'm saying that I'm about to send out the invitation for July. So my team, please pay attention and put your name on your preferred date. And if you are new and wondering what that is, our Rotary Club has been doing Meals on Wheels for, I don't know, about 7, 8, 9 years, and very successfully. So if you're new, I'll be coming your way. Can I do it?
Let's wait and
off.
see if anybody else has any announcements, then we'll transit. Does anybody else have any announcements that you need to make? No? Ann West, travel gifts.
Excuse me. I was in Alaska, not last week. Last week I was sick. But the week prior to that, I was in Alaska. We had a fabulous time. Saw more wildlife than I had seen in previous trips. Whales, sea lions. My husband fell in love with sea otters, which were really tiny specks on the ocean, but got a little bigger when you took out your binoculars. So I bought this for our auction, the Alaska Cruise Companion, and also just for fun, everybody likes socks, and this is bears and moose socks. So I think you'll enjoy that, and please bid big for them.
All right, thanks. Any other travel gifts? Cheryl.
Well, I had an emergency family trip that took me to Texas this past week, and I was introduced to H-E-B stores in Texas. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of those. They're a very upscale Walmart, and very upscale.
I've never heard those two words used in the same sentence before.
And everybody told me I had to go over there and take a look, so I decided I was going to go over there and take a look. And this is what I got. The bag says everything's bigger in Texas. And then a birdhouse.
Very nice.
Maybe have a license plate?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Cheryl. Did you get a chance to go to a Buc-ee's while you were in Texas? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Any other travel gifts? Alan, you raising your hands? Just stretching. Okay. All right. All right. Just wanted to check. Tripster.
Yes.
I believe you are doing Happy Bucks.
With pleasure. All right, pull them out. I know today of all days is a happy day. I'm going to start right with Ken because I saw him reach.
I have a happy dollar for all the fathers and grandfathers who get to celebrate Father's Day on Sunday.
That's a great starting buck. Deborah? Whoa, wait a minute.
How much change?
Okay, I'll help you. Tell me how far.
I'll give you 5.
Okay, super.
Okay. I'm happy because yesterday I found out that the district governor got back from Hamburg. Apparently it was a great international convention except for the opening ceremony. So she didn't care for it, and I guess a number of other people didn't, but all the breakout sessions were really good. And what they're trying to do, their focus was to get more women in higher places in Rotary. So that's their focus for this next year. So I was also happy that I'm kind of going to be doing a little bit of a job change, and it's going to be starting in September. So I'm just going to throw that out with more details to come.
Thank you, Deborah. Carol? Good morning.
Well, tell us why you're happy. You don't have to give any happy bucks, but why are you happy?
Am I happy? I'm happy because I'm retired, and Deborah invited me to this wonderful group, which she said is real fun. So I'm excited to see what's going on. So thanks.
We'll be in touch.
I'm happy because to have what caused me not to be here over with. Yeah, it was a plumbing emergency, unfortunately. It always happens in the middle of the night, of course. And then I'm also happy to have guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Hi, Jeannie. Good morning.
Well, I'm happy. Dr. Paul, instead of the Broncos, the Rockies are doing well. We have to cheer them on. Happy Father's Day to all of you. And the other day I looked out the window in my bedroom and realized my peony bush out front has about 50 blooms on it. The rain and all this spring, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Fortunately, it's this year. Last year, Catherine would have had them all cut down for her wedding. And welcome to our guests.
Yeah, Jeannie, I'll tell you. All right, who's over here? Let me see. I know, there's Tom. I can count on Tom.
Just happy Tuesday and nice to have Paul back.
Paul who? Paul, I'm coming straight over to you after that little introduction.
Thank you. Well, it's good to be back to see everybody. And the second one is, I'm a huge Garth Brooks fan, and so I was good to hear they had some, my sons and their friends had a great time there.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm happy because this is the best week of the year. Father's Day on Saturday, my 46th anniversary on Saturday, and my birthday the following Saturday. But the bad news is I've already got all the presents. My wife says I'm not getting anything more.
David?
Well, one of these dollars is for happy fathers for Father's Day, and the other is happy grandfathers for Father's Day.
That's a good call. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning. That is because my husband, John, is the best father to our adopted daughter. You know, she won't talk to me, but she'll go and talk to him.
John, got a mouthful. Let's go straight
This
over
is
Mark.
to welcome our guest today. I'm happy because I had set up and actually made it on time this time.
Yay! We wrote it down. Cheryl?
I have $5, and this is to recognize Mark Garfinkel. He has just stepped in, especially this past week when I had to leave town quickly, and made a presentation on the Rotary's behalf as well as mine to the Parker Club, and we were able to get $1,000 for the Kids Around the World playground. So,
Very
Mark,
nice.
thank you so very much.
Roxy?
This is welcome to Dr. Paul. It's really good to see you. We've missed you. And the other one is Tuesday, and I'm at Rotary.
Tom?
Just a happy Buck enjoyed the Ronald McDonald House and grilling with Randy and John.
I hear that story. All right, this is a good table, finally, with some action.
Of course, this is the best table over here. Have a happy Buck because it's just 1 week away from a chance for us to give our presentation to this whole group after all this time we've been here to let you know what we do. So this is sort of a pre-ad, a teaser. So we expect all of you to be here next week. We get to entertain you a little bit, which will be a lot of fun.
That sounds good. All right, Scott.
So the first one, Carol, it was very nice to meet you. So welcome to the guest. And it's been a week now, knock on wood, that we have not been woken up in the middle of the night by our son. So I've been able to sleep.
Yay!
from the moment I go to bed until about 5:50. So.
Yeah. Scott?
I'm sleeping in. Yeah.
Hey, Scott, it's a trick. I'm just telling you, it's a trick. I got one, and those go to David Livingston, if you could please. I've got one because of all of you. You guys make me happy. So thanks for being members of this club. Is anyone introducing our speakers today, or do you want me to do it? Jeannie, have at it.
Orientation talks, classification. Scott, would you like to start off? Meet our newest member and to hear all about what he does in this world.
All right, can you hear me okay? What? Everyone get it out of the way. So, so I actually haven't seen a classification talk, so hopefully this is what you're all looking for. But anyway, it actually worked out well that Tripp relinquished his greeting duties to me, because now none of you can say you don't know me. So you all know who I am now. So anyway, here we go. So a little bit, which button do I hit? Oh, there we go. So I'm, that one works. Yeah, so I was born and raised in Grand Haven, Michigan, a small beach town. You may have heard of it. It was actually ranked in the top 10 beaches in the United States. It's wonderful for about 2.5 months of the year, and it is miserable the rest of the year, as you can see. There's a lot of snow. It never melts. Tons of the lake effect snow that comes in. So yeah, I was, I grew up there, but I was happy to think about moving. There we go. So background, I went to Michigan State for 4 years, go green. I don't know who said that, but yes. Anyway, so I got my degree in communication sciences and disorders. I actually didn't know what I wanted to do, big surprise. And between my freshman and sophomore year, I worked for a parent of one of my friends who was flipping a house. So she hired all of us to do all the grunt work. So we painted and stuff like that. And the guy that bought the house was an audiologist. So that's actually how I kind of got started in what I do. Anyway, so then for grad school, I went to Central Michigan University. It's in a very small town, but they surprisingly have a really good school. They have an on-campus clinic, so it was a really good setup for me. And just making you guys wait as long as possible. There we go. So I know there are some sports fans here. So I went to Michigan State, so I'm a big Spartan fan. I know this won't sit well because there's a lot of Bronco fans here, but I'm a huge Minnesota Vikings fan, as you can tell. So my dad's from Sioux Falls. That's where he grew up. So the Vikings were on TV. So he just likes all Minnesota teams, so that's how I was raised. But this is going to prove how young I am. When I was in 3rd grade, the Broncos beat the Packers in the Super Bowl, and I hate the Packers. And so from that point on, I was like, I kind of like the Broncos, and they were my second team, and now I live here. So that's that. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully this year will be a little bit better. We moved to North Carolina. So my wife is actually also an audiologist, so we met in school. In the 4th year of the program, you have to do a year-long residency. So we said, well, we don't like Michigan. She hated it more than I did. It's just cold and miserable. So we said, where do we want to go? So we went to North Carolina. So we moved to Mebane, which I don't expect any of you have heard of. It's right in the middle of the state in tobacco country. It was definitely fun to see what life is like down there. I worked at an ENT practice. And I did everything. I saw babies that were just born, and my oldest patient was 103 years old. And they were, believe it or not, I saw that range on the same day. So quite a bit of variation there. My wife worked at the Durham VA. Some pictures so you can see at the time. It's so cute. I thought it was cool that we hiked to a mountain that was a mile high. That was a big deal for us. And so given that we lived in the middle of the state, we would every weekend either drive to the mountains or drive to the beach. So it was pretty fun. There we go. So I'm really the one who kind of pushed us to move here. So when I was in 7th grade, one of our family friends came out here on a ski trip. They went to Breck for spring break, and they invited me along. So I was 12 years old. I got to come out, and I remember calling my mom when we got up to Breckenridge, and I told her I was going to move to Colorado, and she laughed. She said, "No, you won't," and I proved her wrong. So I had never seen mountains like that before. I remember we got the rental car and just driving on 70 up to Summit County, and it was just breathtaking. So I knew in the back of my mind I wanted to come here, and then my little trick, I knew the secret about the 300 days of sun, and that was one of the qualifications for my wife. So I said, you get to do all the fun winter things, and then you can drive back down to Denver and enjoy the warmth. So now I think she likes it more than I do. But we love the outdoors. We love to camp, ski, snowshoe. We did our first 14er together. So we've definitely been taking advantage of Colorado. There we go. And we were married in June of 2016, so we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary June 3rd, earlier this month. We got married in Silverthorne, because again, we love the mountains, and it was a beautiful wedding. And we have our son. So Benson is our son. He was born in mid-December. He's the best thing in the world, and he's super cute. He's actually, Friday, he'll be 6 months old. So he's very happy. He's reached that stage where he loves me and he recognizes me, so life is really good. And we're getting some sleep. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So anyway, that's a little bit about me, personal. Again, we'll kind of transition now. I told you a little bit about how I was introduced to the world of audiology. So when we moved here, so I kind of just cast a wide net. My wife and I were both audiologists, which makes it a little harder because you're kind of competing against one another. But we were actually hired by a larger chain in the state. We both were hired, which was great. And it was a great experience. I worked there for 3.5 years. I learned a ton, but I also learned what I liked and what I didn't like. And I think there are a lot of shortcomings, unfortunately, sometimes when you have such a big company where patient care can sometimes lack. And so that was one of my problems. My father was a dentist, so I had always wanted to sort of be my own boss and own my own practice. So that's something that I'd wanted since I was in school. So I was kind of always planning on when to make that happen. So anyway, in January of this year, we opened Modern Audiology Centennial. We're 5 minutes away, so really not too far. I partnered with another audiologist that I went to college with. You may not know this, but about 90% of audiologists you meet are female and only 10% are men. So we quickly gravitated towards one another in class. He moved out here about a year before Rebecca and I did. And we had, we would golf every other week and talk about it. When are we going to make this happen? And so he did first, about 2 years ahead of me, and things went really well. So he said, hey, if you want to do it on your side of town, we can share resources. I can give you the roadmap, and we can make it happen. So yeah, early January is when we opened up. And also, he's kind of one of the reasons I joined Rotary. He's in Lakewood right now, and he told me, you're kind of stupid if you don't join, because not only, it's good to meet people, and you can tell them what you do, but also, you get to do good. You get to get to know people who are making a difference, and that was kind of the driving factor. So our goal is help people hear better, obviously, by providing excellent care, but really the big difference is being transparent and open about pricing and what you're getting. So a little bit, and this is just a little bit about kind of the hearing aid world and the hearing world. There we go. So a little background about hearing loss that some people know, some people don't. 1 in 3 people over 60 have some degree of hearing loss. It is the third most, right? Yeah, it's the third most common physical condition because it is a physical problem in adults over 65. That's the shocking one there. 1 in 8 teenagers right now has permanent noise-induced hearing loss. And I'm sure none of you are surprised when you think about it when they drive by you on the street. It's job security for me, but my goal is obviously if you don't have hearing loss, we want to keep it that way. So that's a little scary to me. So part of our job obviously is trying to communicate safe hearing, strategies. 95% of hearing loss can be treated. There are people who, unfortunately, it's so far gone that there's not a whole lot we can do, or it really comes down to just awareness of sound. But a lot of people can be helped. I'll be honest, everyone's different. It's not a cure. It's an aid, not a cure. And so every patient that comes in has a different expected outcome. And so I think that can be why you often hear the negative things. People will say, oh, they don't work. Well, they may not have worked for one person, but they also might work really well for another person. You tend to hear complaints from the unhappy people, and people who are happy don't usually talk about it because they don't want to draw attention to it. So anyway, here, this is the big one. So in 2011, Johns Hopkins came out with this study that has been huge. Basically, they showed the relation between hearing loss and overall cognitive ability. And so as you can see, untreated hearing loss can lead to 30 to 40% faster decline in overall cognitive ability. We always tell people use it or lose it. A scary one people see, adults 50 plus with untreated hearing loss show that they develop short-term memory problems much sooner than those who have either corrected the problem or don't have hearing loss. And then the big one is dementia. So even an untreated mild loss, which for years people would say, it's mild, you're fine, you can get by. But your brain is not getting the amount of stimulation that it has grown accustomed to over the years and years you've been alive. So you're twice as likely to develop dementia. A moderate loss 3 times as likely, and a severe loss 5 times as likely. And that's scary. No one wants that, obviously. So I've actually had patients come in just saying, I'd like to buy some hearing aids. It's like, well, that's great, but we don't even know that you need them yet. But they say, I saw this article on Facebook. I don't want that to happen to me. So it's getting out there. People are talking about it, which is good, obviously. Services we offer. Comprehensive auditory evaluation, that's a fancy term for we do a full hearing test. So just analyzing everything that's going on with your ears, seeing where you fall. Working with hearing aids, that is the bulk of what I do. Wax removal, it's a weird, and don't judge me, that's my favorite part of the job. I've just always liked it. I've got everything. I've got the vacuum, I can flush it. Some people are grossed out, but I think it's kind of fun. So, we certainly take wax out. Yeah, maybe I'll turn this back in, right? I'd mentioned either a week or two ago, we do a lot of custom ear molds, and I've actually had a surprising number of musicians come in, which has been really great for on-stage in-ear monitors, filtered earplugs if you're going to concerts and you want to be able to hear. You don't want the foam plug that totally takes it down, but you want it at a safe level. So that filter kind of caps it at the dangerous level. Sleep plugs when your partner snores, which is a big one. They've got some really cool, if you shoot guns, passive hearing protection where you can hear, but the moment you pull the trigger, it compresses, so you can still communicate with people around you. And then obviously, we do work with tinnitus a lot. You can say tinnitus, tinnitus, but essentially we want to evaluate how severe it is, what's causing it, and how can we try to treat it. There is no cure for tinnitus. I will never say that there's a cure. It can go away for some people, but everyone's different, so it's a treatment approach. And then dizziness. So as an audiologist, I don't do it as much anymore, but when I worked at the ENT, I saw a lot of people with positional vertigo, which if you've had it before, you know it's really crummy. But it's the one type of dizziness that you can fix, so we can cure that. So we do work with that as well. Almost done. So hopefully I'm not boring you guys. There we go. Good. If we can. So what makes us different? So basically, for the past 40, 50 years, you go in, they tell you need hearing aids, and it costs a lot of money. And if you know anyone who has hearing aids, that's probably what they'll tell you. And that's a problem. I'm young, and so I try to say, okay, I read that book, Who Moved My Cheese? I think the cheese is moving, so we need to try and be proactive. People aren't, consumers are looking online, they're price shopping, they're comparing apples to apples. The traditional model is you'd have a bundled price. So you get your hearing aids, and then you're essentially prepaying for all of the services that you're going to need down the road. The problem is if you have a good audiologist, you probably don't need a ton of those services down the road, at least not for the amount that you're paying for. So ultimately what happens is you pay too much, and you don't know what you're paying for. So a lot of patients will say, oh, those hearing aids cost me $7,000. It's like, well, they may have said this percentage of that price goes towards the aids and this percent goes towards your service. Either way, it's too much money. People have never, had an alternative. So they've gotten away with it for a really long time. It's how it's always been done, which is, I think, the dying words of, any failing organization. Anyway, so like I said, people associate the cost with the hearing aids alone, when really what we're trying to do is say, you do pay for the devices, but I'm an important person in the process too. I know what I'm doing to be able to create your prescription, to fix your specific hearing loss, and we need to do these things to try to help you hear better. And if you don't have a good audiologist, that's not going to happen. So we'll jump one more. There we go. So, as you can probably guess, we embrace an unbundled pricing model. So really, it's more of an a la carte approach. You let the patient tell you, this is what I need. One patient might need to come in every week. Most people don't. So, why should you pay for that? It's a significantly lower upfront cost. The reason, we've looked at things that are changing in the market, and people go in, they get a quote, and they go home and they Google it. So they're looking online for lower prices. So why not, have us be the people to offer them the lower prices? So a significantly lower price up front on the hearing aids, and then you can choose what you want. If you want to come in, have me program them and have 2 follow-ups, great. You'll be paying half of what the person down the street would be paying. We also, just think that in general, they're too expensive. So even if people want the bundled approach and they want to be able to come in as many times as they want, we'll do an annual service package for $300. So you'd have to see me for like 24 years before you'd actually meet the price that you're paying, for a bundled practice. So why? Better hearing needs to be accessible to those with less. Only 33% of people who need hearing aids can have them, and that's a problem. It's a very, very important part of life. Vision connects you to things, hearing connects you to people. And so we've seen the negative, impacts it has on people's lives. So we need to help people hear better. So we need to be able to offer better technology at a lower price. And that's the thing is, I'd see people who are young, still working, they need the best hearing aid because of the situations they're in, but they can only afford, an entry-level product, and it's not going to really fix their problems. So, and then, like I said before, most patients don't need unlimited services, and it's incredibly cost-effective. I can happily say, we've been open for almost 6 months, and it's been surprisingly good. So the proof is there. So we feel good about what we're doing. I can sleep better at night, and patients are happier. And ultimately, that's the important thing. So there we have it. The last thing, I kind of touched on this the other day when I did the business minute. There's some cool stuff with hearing aids. I think that's part of it too. A lot of people, when they think of a hearing aid, they think of what we call the beige banana behind the ear. And it doesn't always have to be that way. There are invisible hearing aids. If you truly don't want someone to see it, you can get that option. Almost all the hearing aids we work with have some way we can try to connect to your smartphone so you can stream, you can control what you're doing, you can make adjustments directly from your phone, which is, there's a lot of tinkerers out there that like to be in charge, which is really fun. I talked about that hearing aid that is technically called a Healthable. So it's a fitness and health tracker, and that'll be really interesting to see how that, the response is to that device, over the next year or two. Tinnitus therapy, which I touched on before, and then obviously the custom earbuds, on-ear monitors, stuff like that. So yeah, and that is it. Any questions? Cool, yeah?
So do any of your hearing aids have a spouse phone?
Yeah, it's funny. Yes, absolutely. We can set that up for you, and it turns off that specific frequency range, yeah.
I was asking for a friend.
Yeah, of course. Always, yeah. Cool.
Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, Lori is going to tell us all about her life.
Oh, okay. Good morning. My name is Lori Overton, and just real quick, this is not my first Rotary Club. I am a charter, or was a charter member of the Aurora Fitzsimmons Club for many years. I kind of went in and out with that because I was involved with my son and some of his activities. He was in band, so there was a lot of hauling things around. There was the bass drum, because that's where they start you, always on the big drum. That got to take up space in my car. And then it was, he did play the stand-up bass in high school as well. And by the way, that fits in a Camry. So, yes, the handle is right beside you. So I spent 12 years in the Boy Scouts of America, volunteering there. He's an Eagle Scout, so I did spend some time after that. So that's kind of why I went in and out of Rotary. Came to this club because the time of day of that club was not fitting with what I was trying to do. 2 years ago, well, actually, I'll go back. I'm an accountant, and I was hired by somebody at a management company. And so, anybody in here part of an HOA? I'm sure you live in an HOA. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Yes, I know. The bad stepchild of being in a homeowners association, right? So 2 years ago, well, actually now almost 3, I was hired as the accounting director at a management company. And the person that hired me then became my partner in a business, because we left that management company in 2017 and formed Service Plus Community Management. And that is, Service Plus Community Management is part of Taljo. Taljo is our holding company, and it is a acronym for the 2 partners that own it. And it owns, in whole, Service Plus Community Management. It has a partnership, a 50-50 partnership in a sister company, Lift Property Services. And it has another 50-50 partnership in Rise Hospitality Group. And what I decided to focus on in this Rotary Club was Service Plus Community Management. So, Community Association Management, or HOA Management. So, there's several different models that might happen. A community might be self-managed. A community might have actually on-site staff. Some of the high-rise condominiums downtown have on-site staff. So they're self-managed, but they've actually hired staff to assist them because they have a lot of amenities, things that need to be done, and so they hire staff. And then we have specialized community association management. That's my classification, association management. I'm kind of borrowing that a little bit. And that is what Service Plus does, is offers specialized community association management. And then some communities there's a combination of above, because they have a very strong board of directors. The board of directors is supposed to be the voice for the homeowners, for the residents, the membership of the community, make decisions to do whatever needs to be done in the community with the dues that you pay. You might have a very small common area. You may have a lot of common area. In condominiums, for example, there's a lot of things to be taken care of. There might be a pool. There might be a tennis court, a fitness room. There's all sorts of these amenities, and all your dues go into paying for the upkeep of those things. So that's, where you would probably hire somebody to help you. The purpose of a community association management is the planning, organizing, leading, monitoring the affairs of the community, of the association, to deliver what they consider to be the core services of the membership. There's community services, there's governance services, and business services. Service Plus assists with the purpose of the board of directors to the community. We like to say that our tagline is connecting people and creating communities. So in a little levity for you, you know, who does the HOA think they are? Well, they're us. And so when people are angry at the HOA, they don't like being an HOA, but they like the benefit of the HOA. The benefit of the HOA is increased value of your home, because you don't have maybe a lot of weeds in one yard, or the purple house that everybody brings up, or any of those things, you know, happening. There can be, though, a little extremism, like you must take your, you know, Christmas lights down on January 1, you know, don't, you know, we're gonna write you up if you, any time after that. So, I mean, that's what community association managers do. They try to help the board in delivering some assistance in those services, the governance, the business, etc., but also kind of quell some of that. Sometimes people get a little bit extreme with what they want the HOA to do. So here's the organizational chart and how that kind of looks. The managing agent and the board of directors are kind of on the same level because they're assisting each other. They're like a team. And they're assisting the membership, and with the assistance of professional advisors, it can be contractors, it can be consultants, it can be attorneys, you know, to help collect that kind of thing. And then if the board is strong enough and has enough membership volunteering, then there'll be some committees. One of the, you know, right now in the middle of summer, the architectural committee, as they call it, is the big one, because people are trying to do things in the summer to their yards. They're trying to maybe put some sheds up, or, you know, do stuff, and they have to get approval to do that because their covenants or their declaration says that they have to get approval to do certain things, or it has restrictions on, you know, what kind of paint they can have, or, you know, you can't have a shed, you know, those kinds of things. So they will have nominations of people who will review those requests. And so these all work together, the managing agent and all of these, they kind of work together to assist in the association. So as Service Plus, we act as professional advisors to the board. We're going to have knowledge of the laws. The state of Colorado has Kiowa, as they call it, the Common Interest Ownership Act. And there's certain things that have to be done, and we're going to be the ones that are versed in that. Boards of directors aren't necessarily versed in that. They're just a lot of times voluntold to, you know, somebody needs to do it, why don't you be president, you know, and help us out. And they don't know what's going on. And so we do, you know, provide board training. The Community Association Institute is also a good resource. A lot of people don't know that they exist. So we help boards develop and implement policies. The rules and regulations of your community are something that's developed at the board level with input from the membership. We carry those out. We're the ones who, the trash cans out, we're writing the violation. Financial management, we maintain the association's books and records. That's my job. That's what I do, is I maintain all of our association's books and records. I do all of the accounting. I do have a couple of people on my staff who assist me, but mostly me. And that is the collection of dues. That's the processing of the deposits. That's the, you know, down to like all the journal entries and things like that that need to be done for the association, just maintaining the financials. Every single one of you want to know exactly what's going on with your dues. You pay those dues, you want to know what's going on. So I'm the one who actually would be the answer to that. We will, when the association needs a vendor to take care of anything in the community, the pool, we get the pool vendor. If you have the landscaping, we get the landscaping vendor. We provide the bids, we help you make the choices and the best vendors, and we also carry out whether or not they are doing their job. We have an association in Lakewood that we hired a new landscaping company and they appear not to be doing their job, and we're going to be the ones who actually go to bat for the association and get them out of that contract and get somebody new. So we help with resident relations and communications. Anytime you have a function in the community, say a barbecue or whatever, to try to bring people together, that's usually something that we've helped you with. And we do help, again, with the contractors maintaining the amenities and things like that in the community. And do the enforcement. The enforcement of all of your rules and regulations. We're the ones that are actually helping you carry that out and answering people's responses to those violations and things like that. So a little more levity for you. We're actually juggling quite a few different things. And so really, I mean, community association management it's very interesting. I mean, you get a lot of people who get pretty upset. It's their home. And so they want to make sure that everybody else is doing what they're supposed to do. So we can run the gamut of people calling on their neighbors, so-and-so's parking in the visitor space again, and, we're seeing this, and then taking pictures, or they don't, we're hoping that we could try to get them to the middle where they care, but that they're not creating animosity in the community by, completely reporting everybody and every little thing. So really, I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of that one. And this is a recent thing that we do, and this is kind of how we're different, because I know that you all probably have had the experience of calling up your HOA management company and nobody returns your call, or they don't even answer the phone, or they don't answer your email. And we like to think that we changed that with forming our company, because that was the main thing that we wanted to address, was that communication. Is if we pick up the phone, even if we don't know what the answer is and we can get it to you, that's going to be really huge for you as a management company, because nobody else picks up the phone. And so we are happy to do that service. One of the other things too is that we like to reach out to our community people. When they need something, and a homeowner needs something, one of the differences that I have a homeowner who's in financial straits right now. And we're going to, they have a loss assessment that they need some help on the insurance, and she doesn't know how to read her policy. We're going to actually meet her, grab her policy, and try and help her. That's not really our job, but that's how we actually operate our business. Because we feel like the homeowners are the HOA, obviously. The HOA is our bread and butter. So we like to go ahead and go the extra mile so that we can assist. If we can, if I can do something, I'll do something. If I can't, well, I'll do the best I can. So that's why we say that we're serving you like a boss. And that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
This is supposed to be a classification. Where was I raised? I was raised in El Paso, Texas. I came to Denver back in 1988 because I had an aunt that lived here, and I came and I lived with her. I met my husband in 1989 at H. Brinker's. Anybody remember that? The windmill down there? I used to work down there, and I met him down there. His brother worked there. And I married him in 1991. So let's see here. That's quite a while ago, 28 years almost. And let's see, we moved to San Antonio, Texas for 4 years. My husband was from Texas and decided that he had to go back. And in the 4th year, I said, I'm going back to Denver and you can come if you want. Because I couldn't stand the bugs, couldn't stand the humidity, and couldn't stand the freezing rain in the wintertime. And we've been here ever since. My son was born in 1994 in San Antonio. And so he's grown up here. He likes to do those 14ers that you talked about. He's done 3 or 4 so far. That's something that he likes to do. He is an Eagle Scout, as I mentioned before. I was, for the longest time, in the restaurant business and got hired by Regis Business Centers, the executive suite, and after that became started down my journey of becoming an accountant. And I've been an accountant for the better part of about 21 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's kind of an odd journey to go from restaurant business to accountant, but I just kind of fell into it and decided I really actually liked it. So I went to school at Baker College, which is Michigan. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And I have an accounting and management degree, so I have a dual degree. I've worked for a business here in town for quite a while called Discount PC. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or ever bought a computer from them. I worked for them for 7 years, and then I went into the nonprofit world and worked for a nonprofit called Generation Schools, whose focus was education, trying to assist with education. And I went from that to community association management company, and then into owning our own businesses. So, does that help?
Not a question, but just a comment. I live in a townhouse complex, and the HOA we had did nothing. We complained, or my husband said, "Oh, this needs to be worked on." Did nothing, and this last spring, they changed, and all of a sudden I'm getting notice this needs to be done, and that kind of thing. And you would think I would be disgruntled with that, but that did need to be done, and that was an incentive to do it. And there is a difference between HOA, and I'm glad that we made the change.
Great.
Not HOAs, I'm sorry.
Management companies. Yes.
I just had a quick question. So there was an effort to regulate HOA management companies and require licenses and things like that, and the governor just
Vetoed it.
defunded the whole thing and said that wasn't necessary. I was just curious, because in the business there are some good management
Why
companies.
we think that happened?
And there are some terrible management companies.
Absolutely.
So just wondering what your thoughts were.
Well, the problem with the manager licensing was that there was, in spite of the fact that there was a couple problems with it. It really didn't belong under DORA in the real estate division. That was the first thing. And there wasn't as much oversight. They had been funded, but there wasn't as much oversight as there, I think, needed to be. They went along for the period of time that they did and really didn't do a whole lot of really policing management association companies as much as they did. And so when it came to the time of sunset, DORA came to the table with, well, here's a few things that we've done, and everybody went, well, what have you been doing? They really weren't censuring as many people as people felt that they should, being a consumer protection division, organization that they were supposed to be. And so what my partner actually sits on the LAC, which is the Legislative Action Committee, And what they would like to do is bring back to the table something that will actually do the work of being a consumer protection agency, because there's a lot of potential for fraud. We do have control of the money, and there's a lot of potential for fraud in management companies. That's happened over and over again, and we're very afraid that now that he's vetoed that bill, he just didn't see the value in it because they didn't bring to the table what they had that they had done anything of value. And so we believe that it should be licensed. In fact, what our TAC is, there's a couple of certifications out there. One of them is Community Association Management Certification. And my partner is at the highest level. He's been in it a lot longer than I have. And so he's a PCAM, what they call a PCAM is Professional Community Association Manager. And he also holds a CMCA and some other things. I mean, he's got all of that. I only hold the lowest one because I haven't been in it very long, don't have as much experience. So there's some certifications that we can pursue that show that we have that, we at least maintain those ethics. And they are bringing around back some more bills. The LAC is working on some more bills to actually provide something under, they wanted it to be under the professional divisions, I think it was, and be more relevant. So that's being worked on.
We have time for one more question.
Over here. I thought I had one more. Okay.
All right. So I'll have you know that it was actually Mr. Peterson that broke this. I just had to call him out on that. But I was wondering, does anybody have a big gold chain that I can attach this to and kind of go thumping down the road? Quick thing, tomorrow, oh, Mr. Livingston, I almost forgot. Lori, why don't you come up here and draw a number? Draw a ticket.
Someone's entire day depends on your comments. Last three digits.
065.
Oh! So Mary Alice, at this point, I think you pretty much understand the routine.
Starts with lunch.
Thank you.
No, thank you. There is no maximum number of times that you can draw, is there? Because Mary Alice is getting close to whatever it is.
Oh no, Horiuchi, he's like the king.
Oh, it's in there. Yep.
All right, all right.
Yep.
All right, make her reach. Oh.
Thanks for playing.
Pot rolls over. Quick reminder, tomorrow, board meeting. This will be the last board meeting of Mr. Eunice's illustrious career. So I highly recommend that any and all go to the board meeting just to torment him a little bit, just for fun. So would you all stand and join me in the four-way test for all we think, say, or do? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Do good and have fun, everybody.